with the wrap-up show from Buddy Bear Car Wash. I'm here with my good friend Jerry Brown.
I'm here. Welcome back from the show.
And we're going to be talking about a few things today. We're going to show you the new statistical leaders, team standings, and we'll talk a little bit about the tournament, of course. But let's start out, Jerry, and talk about the tournament a little bit and what happened. I thought it was a great complex. I thought the softball was pretty good. And how about those two championship games?
Amazing. Simply amazing. Those are two games that it was a heavyweight, old school 15-round fight, and the last man standing was the victor. Congratulations to IY and to most definitely the 45 to the three-peat. But you guys gave us entertaining softball, which was great. It was great to view and great to be a part of.
Yeah, I was telling somebody the other day that they were two really good softball games. High Y was home in the first game. They walked the 45s off. And then in the second game, the 45s were the home team, and they walked High Y off in the 10th inning. And they were both terrific ball games with a lot of stuff going on. And, both teams flying around the field, great defense. And if you haven't seen it, folks, they're pinned to the top of the SSA Facebook page. You want to go and spend a little time there because that was high-level major softball being played well.
I think it might go under the category of one of the SSA GO AKA classics.
Yeah, I already put that on there, and people seem to really be going to the game. Plus, there were some interesting things that happened during the weekend, too. We saw a couple of big upsets. We saw Impact come out and beat Hex, and that was a pretty big upset. Tommy LeVar, we've talked in the past about how young his team is, but they sprung the big upset. And then we saw Goodwood beat Chucks from Iowa. And yes. Chucks, of course, is a team we all think is going to be playing late most tournaments. And it was a little bit of an upset. And we saw some other teams like Players Inc.
Let's not forget Players Inc. They had a lot of improvement. They looked good. I think everybody showed up. Their attendance was pretty good. And they had a couple of good wins under their belt. And it might take off from there towards the next tournament.
Yeah, we'll see. They're going to be in the Midsummer Classic, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the show, and so it'll be a good opportunity to see them back-to-back weekends.
Yeah.
And I talked a little bit on some of the live streams how they do tend to play over whatever their season record is. So we saw a little bit of that this weekend, and we'll see if that continues. Strange tournament, too, in the sense that a lot of injuries,
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
And, Chucks got devastated in their first win against Wales. They lost their shortstop, Matt Schrage, who hurt a hamstring. Matt thinks he'll be back in time for the midsummer, but we'll have to wait and see on that. And then literally the next half inning, they lost their second baseman, Kyle Simpson, and he tore an Achilles. So, in that Goodwood game, they were still kind of in shock a little bit, but that's not to take away from Goodwood. They played tremendous all weekend and really took a big step up, I thought. We also saw Anthony Sanchez in one of the championship games dislocate a shoulder.
Did you say it was a Mel Gibson moment when he cracked it back in? Lethal Weapon 5 or something?
Yeah, Nizzy was yanking on that arm, and I said it looked like when you come home late at night trying to jiggle the key in the lock after a couple of beers. And, but he's a tough kid. He said that he couldn't get it out right away or back in due to the fact that he was so tense after it happened, and then he relaxed a little bit and it slid right back in, and he ended up finishing the tournament and playing.
Good for him.
Yeah, tough kid. And you know what? I keep forgetting the name, but somebody told me somebody broke their collarbone. And we certainly hope whoever that is, he gets healthy and gets back to playing softball. And it's weird, Jerry, because it was a good playing surface. The infield was good, the grass, the outfield was good, so you don't expect to see it, but just a wave of injuries. And I'm sure there were some other guys that probably got hurt that we're not talking about.
Well, the complex as a whole was beautiful, like you stated before. The diamonds, the fields were well manicured, the service, everything was top notch.
So, of course, 45s win. Highway finished second, Signature third, and was Flashback fourth?
I think Flashback was fourth. The money lines came up somewhere too.
Yeah, I don't know who finished fourth. I should know this, but I've been so swamped, so sorry, folks. But anyways, it was a great tournament. Danny Atkins, only guy in softball that runs an event by himself, not affiliated with an association or a park district. We did give Danny moral support and physical support where he needed it, but just another great job by Danny. 21 years now, man.
21 years of excellence. Thank you, Danny, for all you do for softball. We really appreciate you from the bottom of our heart.
So now let's head over to the PowerPoint and get to some numbers. So here's the updated point standings. Flashback is still clinging to the top spot, and they have, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit for you guys, they got 87 points, and they're in first place in the team standings. So halfway through, Flashback 45s took a big leap with the points they won in this tournament. They got up to 71.
Okay.
So they're doing real well. Highway, big leap, finishing second. They're now in third place at 56. Circus is at 55. They dropped a little bit. I don't think they had the weekend they were hoping to have.
No, I think Circus is still trying to get the chemistry together because they was adding the 2 or 3 new players and everybody's showing up all at one time. So I still look for Circus to be a dominant force in tournaments coming up.
Yeah, and Moneyline had a pretty good weekend. They took a little bit of a jump, 54 points, so they jump up into the 5 slot. Signature, another team, they got beat by Flashback first game Sunday, got a little revenge, ended up knocking Flashback out of the tournament.
Yep.
And they took a little bit of a step up. They're checking in right underneath Moneyline. Hex didn't have the weekend they were hoping for, but they got enough points to kind of stay toward the top of the heap here a little bit. They check in at 29, so between Signature and Hex is our first kind of separation a little bit point-wise. And then Whale, who I thought did a nice job. They lost to Chucks. They hung around until Sunday, picked up a lot of points, just below Hex at 29. BTA checking in right under Whale at 26, along with March. And March had a good weekend.
Oh, yeah. Let's not forget about March.
Yeah, I don't think you can sleep on that team. They're coming along really well. Of course, Goodwood at 25, Fat Kids at 22. We'll scroll down so you guys can see some of the other points. Shooters, Meatball City, 10 Deep, Traffic, Players Inc., Impact, Iron, Dynasty, Chuck, Sauce, Demons, Menace, Pharaohs, Hall of Fame, Born Divine, Splash, and Future. So as we get into this Chicago Summer Series, Jared, you can see that as we go in and more teams playing the various events, we get more data regarding the teams in the standings. And so it's going to be crazy. 2 events, 2 separate winners. It's following the same pattern it has the last few years.
Yeah, Perry in softball. There's no clear cut. Everybody has their weekend. Everybody has their shot at the crown.
And 45s won, but it wasn't as if they were blowing teams out.
No.
They were kind of getting by, playing smart, playing good defense, and finding ways to win. So let's head over to the batting averages. This has changed a little bit.
That's what I'm waiting on.
You had to have 21 minimum at-bats So it did change. Later on at the end, we're going to show you some player spotlights of players that just missed the cut, but that are really doing well. We grabbed, I think, 4 random top averages just to show people. So Brian Barzowski from Whale, 704, he continues to pound the ball.
That name's popping up quite frequently.
Yeah, it is. That kid is a hitter. And Mike Oliver, who George Bliss, say hi, George. George Bliss on the switcher today. He interviewed Mike Oliver last week. We spotlighted him, and he continues to hit at 650.
He's a quiet, humble, unassuming person. He really keeps to himself. But he hits that ball when he's on that field. 2 different people.
Yeah, and George, I thought, was having a little problem pulling words out of him when he interviewed him. Checking in at 3 is Wes Shannon. Wes was, I think, at the top of the heap last week.
Yes, he was. He mentioned to me that, the quote Arnold Schwarzenegger, he'll be back.
Yeah, well, no doubt about it, but still hitting a very cool 640. Then we got the Curtis Ostrom from Hex checking in at 636, and we'll see Curtis's name a little later on with some other stats. Kevin Duff, 571 from Circus.
Yeah, Duff's tough.
KD, yeah. Danny Marston, the Impact acquisition for Signature, hitting 561. So he's acclimated himself pretty well.
Yeah,
Fast. Checking in a familiar name, Nate Mercado at 556. Nate off to a great start. Jimmy Moretti from Hex, 552, along with Mike Wiz, who's also at 552.
Is that Mike Wiz? That's from, he was up there last week.
Yeah, he was a little higher last week, still hitting over 500. And then the guy I talk about, who I really like, former Brick guy, Elliot Pisarcik, tied with Keenan Connolly at 545. So we know Elliot is a good hitter. Keenan's been a top flight player for a long time. And Anthony Brewer, former Solution guy, current PTA guy, checking in at 542.
Wow.
And then Jackson Perry.
That's when you're all Geo candidates.
Yeah, he is. And Jackson checking in at 536. We'll see Jackson in a couple of the other statistical categories. Matt Richards, Chicago Dynasty, 524. And rounding out, we got a kid that, well, I don't know if he was on there last week or not, but I think he might have been Mike Marola from Meatball City.
No, he was. I don't think he was on there.
Yeah, Patty Caputo's nephew. So he checks in. So that's basically the top 15 hitters right now based on 21 at-bats. So we're going to, keep an eye on these guys. And again, there are some guys that just missed the cut that had slightly better averages than some of these guys, but they didn't have 21 at-bats.
Right.
Our guy Tom Boyle's still hitting very well, but he had 18 or 19 at-bats, so he didn't qualify.
So Tom needs to talk to your coach, move up two notches in the batting order, so you can get your other couple at-bats.
Absolutely. So let's switch back, and we'll go to the RBI leaders.
Okay.
And this has changed a little bit. Timmy Korenkowski still leading the pack at 19. So Timmy knocking him in. But here's a guy that I don't believe was on the list last time. Marty Dozen from Moneyline had a big weekend. Maybe not so much from an average standpoint, but he was doing damage. Extra base hits, driving in runs. He's got 17.
Okay.
The other guy on that team who's also had a great weekend was that Chris Stout, and we'll get to Chris in a little bit too. He checks in here at 15 RBI. So those guys hit back-to-back in the money line order, and they were both doing big damage, driving runs in, extra base hits. And if I'm Matty Dozen, I'm pretty happy because he kind of felt a little bit at the Westchester that his team really wasn't swinging the bats that good at that time.
Well, they're warming up now. It's the perfect time with the weather warming, the bats are warming, so good things are coming Moneyline's way.
Absolutely. Also tied at 15, we got Rob Scahill from Hex. Their shortstop, quiet kid, doesn't seem to say a lot, but he's really been extraordinarily productive, 15 RBIs. Also tied in that 15 RBI range was Spencer Mahoney from Signature.
Okay.
And we know Spencer's one of the best players in the game. He looks like he's starting to heat up, and that might be part of the reason why Signature had a real good weekend, and they could be very dangerous when we get to the midsummer. Then checking in, we got a few guys, 4 guys at 14. Scotty Herdecki from Circus, Anthony Scarlata also from Signature, and here's a young kid making some noise, Jeff Mastari from the 45s.
Yeah.
I've talked about Jeff in the past. I think he's one of the really good-looking young players in the game. And, of course, now an older player, Joe Piscitelli from Flash Bat. He also has 14. And then the rest of these next 5 guys all have 13. Nate Mercado, Jackson Perry, Mike Manzella from Flash Bat, PJ Raines, who's been playing terrific.
Yeah.
Now he's starting to drive in runs. He's got 13. And, of course, Greg Fleming, who went from Farrell's to Signature, also with 13. So those are our RBI leaders, and these guys have really been doing a great job, and they've really been very productive. So it's nice when you see guys now, they got the first tournament out, and you see guys really settling in, Jared.
Yeah, they take a sigh of relief. The weather's warming up. Everybody's showing up with attendance. The players, it's something about tournament ball that gets the juices flowing, and now you're seeing the cream rise to the top.
Okay, so we'll go to our next slide, and that's going to be the home run leaders. You know, very interesting. I only put basically 4 people on here, 5, and the reason is when we get to 1 home run, there were like 24 guys.
Okay.
So can't really put them on a graphic. So Chris Stout has jumped up. He's got 3 home runs now. So, and again, from Moneyline, I forgot to put the
Not only
money
does batting average increase, the home run totals increase
Right,
as well.
and he's got RBIs too, so very productive. Greg Fleming from Signature, he's got 3 home runs.
Okay.
And it's funny because they're both strong kids, but when you think about home run hitters,
Right.
they're not the first 2 that come to mind. So then we got Jackson Perry with 2. He's got the type of build you expect from a home run hitter. Jeff Mastari, the young kid with 2 from the 45s. Frank Peroni from Hex, again, a right fielder, not the biggest guy, but he's got 2 home runs. And last but not least on this list, Scotty Herdecki from Circus, and Scotty's always had a lot of pop. So when you look at it, these guys, some of them are just, they're hitting the ball where you ain't, and they're running hard.
Yep.
So those are our home run leaders, and it'll be interesting to see how that progresses as the season goes. Again, we got a lot of guys with 1 home run. And let's move along to the triples.
Uh-oh.
So with the triples, we had, basically I just put the guys with 3, because we had about 22 guys that had 2 or 1. So it's hard again to put them on a graphic.
Any big guys like me weigh 240-ish with triples?
No, these are all guys that are in great shape.
Oh, wow.
Run like deers. Ryan Russ was at the top of the list last week with 3.
Okay.
He didn't get a triple this weekend, but he's still on top with 3. Spencer Mahoney now has got 3 triples. So again, Spencer's showing up on a lot of these stat lines. And that guy, PJ Raines, legacy kid, he's got 3 triples. So again, PJ can flat out fly, and you know, these are the type of people you would expect to hit triples. They can run, they got a little pop, they hit it toward the gap and it gets down, they're off to the races.
They got some legs, got some wheels, get around that bag the way they get around that bag.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that, that's fun to watch with these big fences, doubles, triples. You get guys on first, they scoring from first on long stretch singles, and it's outstanding. Tournament softball's the best.
It's nothing like watching a kid or a player, legging out a triple to start the inning off. It's something, if you want to energize a team, like get a stretch single, score from first, or a leadoff triple, and that's just something that galvanizes the team and gets everybody all pumped up, and it's nothing like getting those triples.
Well, what I like is we're starting to see teams warm up, and they're all starting to hit the ball better than they were hitting the ball at Westchester.
Okay.
And I think that's why we saw a couple upsets and these great championship games. So the double leaders, your guy's on top with 10.
Who's my guy? Tell me who's my guy.
The double machine.
Dan Dispenza.
Dan Dispenza from Flashback with 10. And
I think you miscounted. I counted 12, but I'm not one to say anything.
Well, Danny, for your younger kids, if you get a chance to watch Flashback, Danny is the guy that when he hits it, puts his head down, and he's thinking double out of the box.
Yeah.
He's not admiring it. He's not jogging down the baseline. He's got his head down. He's trying to make a tight turn at first, and he gets a lot of doubles. Second on the list with 8, KD, Kevin Duff, from Circus. Another guy, repeat performer. Curtis Ostrom, third with 7. Wes Shannon, 6, along with Mark Manizzi, they're tied there. Justin Smykowski from Flashback, he's checking in with 5, along with Chris Jordan from Signature. Chris was an impact pickup through that group, and he seems to be settling in. He's been productive with those 5 doubles. Chad Hook, we talked about from Circus with 5. Spencer Mahoney with 5, and a guy I really like, and is a real gentleman, Adam Haas from the 45s checking in with 5.
Silent killer. He's a silent killer and doesn't get enough credit for stirring his drink up with the 45 machine.
Yeah, and there were a lot of guys that had, 4, 3, 2, but again, too many to put on the graphic.
Yeah, understand.
So we didn't forget about you guys out there. And, like I said, people are heating up. So let's take a look now. We have the spotlight players. These 5 players I really wanted to highlight because they just missed the cut, but they got some really good averages. Tom Boyle, who we interviewed last week, 667. Vince Stacy was out, and I don't know if he was, can't remember if he played or played much at the TLC. He was a few at-bats shy of 21, but Vince is hitting 643.
Yeah.
And then a kid I really like a lot, checking in at 6'11", Cordell Irving, the shortstop from 10 deep. Very young, very raw, but
he's up and coming. He's going, ladies and gentlemen, if you really want to see like the Masturis and the Cordells, those are the future of the game, and they're up and coming. They're going to be great players, and they're heading in that right direction.
And, of course, a guy we all know through the years, Matt Mackey from Chucks, the big left-handed first baseman.
Oh, yeah.
Hitting .579. And he's been a great hitter before Old Timers when he was with CJ's out in Iowa. And then a name that people might not be as familiar with, Phil Nardi from Traffic, is at .552, but again, just a few at-bats short. So these players we're keeping an eye on. If they get a few more at-bats, then it might be a situation where
they move on up.
Of course, they could move down, but let's not think negatively.
Okay, that could happen.
So I thought North-South was a great event. I thought the teams really were playing hard. Even though it was windy, the temperature was good, so nobody was getting burnt out with excessive heat or anything. And I think everybody competed, and I think the appetite is only gonna get more intense as we head to the midsummer, because for all of these teams that are jockeying to get into the no glove, some of them got a little work to do, and they need to,
Step it up.
show them that they're gonna be able to make a run. So the Midsummer Classic, we'll be doing that draw Saturday at McGaffers at 4 o'clock. And so please try to have a representative there. We'll be doing the draw. We have 24 teams, and it should be a highly competitive tournament out at Bulger Park, Veterans Park, and great place to play. Manny Sanchez will be doing the food. We'll have More Than Dogs with Joey Casa out there.
Okay.
And the Italian Ice Guy.
Oh, well,
Will be
okay.
out there. And so that's coming up. We also, at the end of the month, have the SSA Tom Egg Zarnik Class A No Glove National Championship Tournament, sponsored by the Zarnik family, and that'll be up in Olympic Park in Schaumburg. And George Bliss reminding us that he'll be doing an interview with Ray, and we'll be posting that very shortly, so keep an eye out for that. And Gio will be out live at Harrison Park on Friday and Saturday, and George Bliss will have the draw for the Midsummer Classic live. So we will, got a lot of softball coming up. You might see me out tomorrow live stream. We'll see how that goes. And Jerry, what are your thoughts here as we get ready to exit?
Well, in closing, I want to like to wish every father out there a happy Father's Day coming up. Enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend, and be safe and be careful out there. With regard to the softball, it's going to get bigger and brighter and better as the season progresses. As we know, parity is really where we should be, and that's what it's all about. So there's no team that you can say they have this tournament locked up. You never know who's going to do what. So I suggest everybody to come on out, enjoy the game, and have a good time.
So we're going to be wrapping it up here, and we'll leave you with our nice logo on the way out. But it is always a pleasure to talk to you at home. Come on out to the Midsummer Classic. It's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be a riot. So on behalf of SSA Broadcast, this and Jerry Brown, George Bliss, this is Gio saying be safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care.